Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. Let me take you straight to the moment everything changed. The sound of her key twisting in my new front door made my stomach flip. She wasn't supposed to be here. She hadn't been here in 31 days. And yet, there she was, walking into my house like she still had a right to breathe the same air as me. I didn't even move from the kitchen table. I just watched her. She froze in the doorway when she saw us. Her eyes bounced from my plate to my wine glass to the person sitting directly across from me. And for the first time in all the years I'd known her, Marla had no words. Good. I'd spent years drowning in her words. Her endless opinions, excuses, lies dressed as miscommunications, fake apologies wrapped in sarcasm. Silence suited her better. The person at my table didn't flinch. She just sipped her wine, set the glass down, and looked Marla dead in the face. "Nice to see you again," she said, then smiled. Marla looked like she had been slapped with a memory she couldn't explain. Her mouth opened, closed. Again. Nothing. But let me back up, not too far. Just enough to explain why this wasn't revenge. It wasn't a setup. It was just life catching up. And me, finally deciding not to be the guy who waited around, hoping she'd love me right again. Because exactly 1 month earlier, Marla had stood in the same spot, in our old apartment, and said those famous last words. "I'm done with this." She didn't cry. She didn't explain. She didn't even finish her sentence. I smiled, like the fool I was, and whispered, "Good. I'm free." She thought I didn't mean it. She thought I'd crawl back like always. She thought I'd sit in that quiet apartment, mourning what we'd lost, blaming myself like I used to. But I didn't. She left, and I started building something new. And now, she was staring at it. The food. The laughter. The person at my table. She had no idea who she was looking at yet. But when she found out, that's when the real story began. She didn't recognize her at first. That made it better. Marla stood there like a ghost visiting the wrong life. Eyes darting from my half-finished dinner to the empty chair she probably assumed was still hers. But the woman across from me, calm, graceful, untouched by the chaos, she didn't even blink. She just wiped the corner of her mouth with her napkin like Marla hadn't just bulldozed through the front door and walked into a private moment she had no right to see. Still, Marla tried to hold on to her last bit of control. "You changed the locks," she said quietly, eyes narrowed at the doorknob, like it had betrayed her. Guess I had the spare. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. She was stalling. Her voice shook just enough to tell me she was trying to piece together why this dinner felt wrong. Why my eyes weren't pleading. Why I wasn't rushing to explain, or apologize, or beg her to come back. She looked at the woman across from me again. "Do I know you?" Now that was the moment I'd waited for. Not with bitterness. Not for revenge. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I just wanted her to feel what I felt the night I found out about Brandon. Yes, Brandon, the coworker she claimed was like a brother. The one I caught texting her things you don't send to siblings. I'd never forget that Thursday. She left her laptop open, and I didn't even mean to look. It was just there. Innocent at first. Inside jokes, long messages, playful teasing. Then the photos. Then the plans. Then her saying, "Cliff doesn't need to know. He's too soft. He'll get over it." I didn't get over it. I just got quiet. And now, she was staring at the woman who used to be her favorite person to complain about. The one she pushed away years ago because she felt threatened by how close we were in college. Someone she hadn't seen since our wedding. Her name is Eloise. And when Marla realized who she was, her eyes went wide. That moment, it was louder than any fight we'd ever had. Marla didn't sit. She just stood there, stiff as a tree in a storm, trying to regain whatever footing she thought she still had. Her face said everything: recognition, confusion, then something else, panic. Not because of Eloise, necessarily, but because she couldn't figure out how this happened without her knowing. She'd always been the one in control of everything. "Eloise," she finally breathed, voice tight. "Wow. It's been a long time." Eloise smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It has," she said. "You look different." Marla's eyebrows twitched, like she didn't know whether to feel insulted or complimented. "You two caught up recently?" She tried to sound casual. Failed miserably. I answered before Eloise could. "We've been catching up for a while. A lot can happen in 31 days. Marla swallowed hard. Her hand gripped the back of the chair, her old seat at the table, as if touching it would anchor her to some past version of us. I didn't stop her. I wanted her to feel that emptiness for once. The one I sat in for years, wondering what I was doing wrong while she built a life behind my back. It wasn't serious with Brandon, she blurted suddenly. I actually laughed. Not out of amusement, out of disbelief. That was her move? After months of deception, that's what she led with? Wasn't serious? I repeated, leaning back in my chair. You told him you wanted to move to Arizona with him. You sent him pictures from our bedroom. You used my name to reserve a hotel suite. Her eyes flared. She didn't think I knew all that. She thought I'd just caught the surface-level stuff. But after she left, I dug. Quietly. Patiently. I wasn't looking for ammo. I was looking for truth. And the truth was far worse than what she assumed I'd found. You went through my messages, she snapped, like that was the violation. No, I said. You handed them to me. You left everything open, just like you left our marriage. Eloise never spoke. She didn't need to. Her presence alone screamed louder than anything Marla could throw at me. Marla turned toward the door. You're making a mistake, she said. I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I had made a mistake. But not the one she thought. And soon, she'd realize what I meant. Marla stood in the doorway longer than she should have, like she was hoping I'd change my mind. As if I'd suddenly rewind time, erase the truth, and hand her a clean slate. But there were no do-overs left. She'd burned every bridge with me, then tried to float back across on the ashes. She finally stepped out, but not before giving Eloise one last glance, a look loaded with something between jealousy and regret. I waited until the door clicked shut before I exhaled. I hadn't realized I was holding my breath the entire time. Eloise looked at me. You okay? I nodded, then shook my head. I will be, I think. She reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. That simple gesture, so calm, so warm, nearly undid me. For years, I begged Marla for scraps of affection, for presence, for honesty. Eloise had done more in a month than Marla did in the last 3 years. And she hadn't even tried. She'd just shown up, with truth. You really never knew? I asked quietly. Eloise shook her head. I knew she pulled away from me. I thought it was just drift. I didn't know she hated me because she thought you and I had something back then. She used to call you her closest friend. Eloise snorted. Yeah, until she decided you were her property. That stung more than I admitted. Marla always talked about partnership, about love and equality. But in the end, I think I was just a steady place for her to land until someone more exciting came along. You want to know how I found out everything? I asked. Eloise raised an eyebrow. I thought you saw the messages. I did, I said. But not all of them. Someone mailed me a flash drive. No return address. Just a note that said, you deserve the full picture. Her eyes widened. Someone mailed it to you. Yeah. Security footage from that hotel. Screenshots. Even audio clips. It wasn't just Brandon. There were others. And one of them? He's married. Eloise covered her mouth in shock. Oh my God. I didn't recognize the voice on the audio, I said. But I'm going to find out. What Marla didn't know, what no one knew, was that she hadn't just betrayed me. She'd crossed someone else. Someone who didn't want to stay silent anymore. And whoever they were, they wanted her exposed. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, the voice from that audio file looping over and over in my head. It wasn't just the words. Those were bad enough. It was the tone, the way he laughed with her, the way he whispered things I used to say. Except now, they sounded cheap, coated in smugness, like I'd been some inside joke between them. Eloise had fallen asleep on the couch. She offered to stay just in case Marla came back, but I think we both knew that door wouldn't open again, not unless she was desperate or cornered. The next morning, I loaded the audio into my laptop again. I had listened to it a dozen times already. It was mostly background noise, rustling sheets, a TV playing something in another room, and then, clear as day, his voice. He still thinks she's working late. Poor guy. Then Marla's laugh. He's too busy checking his loyalty app points to notice anything. That part hit harder than I expected. I used to save every grocery receipt like it was proof I was a good husband. Cooked, cleaned, paid bills on time. Meanwhile, she was, God, I don't even know what to call it anymore. Cheating sounds too basic. This was betrayal on a deeper level, a mockery of my kindness. I opened the audio file one more time and scrubbed forward. That's when I caught something I hadn't heard before. Right before it ended, he said, I can't wait to see the look on his face when he finds out. That line. That specific line. I'd heard that voice say it before. But not in person. Not live. On a voicemail. From someone who'd called to check in when Marla first left. Someone I hadn't thought about since all this started. His name was Preston. He was my old college roommate. We'd lost touch after the wedding. But a month ago, out of nowhere, he left me a weird message. Hope you're holding up, man. You'll understand everything soon. At the time, I thought it was just vague sympathy. But now, my blood ran cold. I wasn't just betrayed by my wife. I was betrayed by one of the only friends I ever trusted. And if he thought I wouldn't put the pieces together, he didn't know me at all. I couldn't ignore it anymore. That voice in the audio wasn't just similar, it was Preston's. The same easy, half-laughing drawl he used when we were 19, sneaking beers into the dorms and talking about life after college. Back then, I thought he was the most loyal guy I knew. But hearing him on that recording, with her, mocking me, it lit something in me I didn't know was still there. I didn't tell Eloise. Not yet. I just said I needed to clear my head, grabbed my keys, and got in the car. I remembered Preston had bought a place across town years ago, one of those new homes with identical mailboxes and spotless driveways. It was the kind of neighborhood where everyone waved even if they hated you behind closed doors. I parked down the street. My hands were shaking on the wheel, but I didn't let myself think too much. If I thought, I'd turn around. And I couldn't. Not after everything. His truck was in the driveway. Black Tacoma. Still had the stupid bumper sticker that said, "Work hard, play louder." I got out, walked up, and rang the bell. It took 30 seconds. Maybe less. But when that door opened and Preston stood there in gym shorts and a smirk that disappeared the second he saw me, everything clicked. He knew. He didn't play dumb. Didn't even fake surprise. He just sighed and said, "Guess you figured it out." My jaw clenched. "You think?" He stepped aside like I was supposed to walk in, like we were old friends grabbing beers again. I didn't move. I didn't plan for it to happen, he muttered. "We ran into each other last year. She said you guys were distant." Distant, I repeated. "She was lying in my bed, calling you while I made dinner." He flinched. "I was your best man, Preston." "I know," he whispered, eyes dropping. I waited. For an apology. A breakdown. Something. Instead, he said, "She told me you wouldn't fight for her. That you'd just disappear." That was the moment I realized they didn't just cheat. They buried me while I was still breathing. And now, they were about to see what the man they underestimated was really capable of. I didn't punch him. Not because he didn't deserve it. He did. But because that would have given him too much power. And honestly, in that moment, I realized I didn't want revenge the way I used to. I wanted clarity. I wanted them to see me rebuild, not break. "I came here for one thing," I said, steady now. "The truth. All of it. And then I never want to see your face again." Preston stepped back. His voice was low, like he was ashamed, but not sorry. "It wasn't just once," he admitted. "It went on for almost a year. She told me you'd lost interest. Said you were always tired, always quiet." "That's called depression," I snapped. She knew I was struggling. She watched it happen, and instead of helping me, she ran to you. His silence said it all. He wasn't used to being held accountable. He always got away clean. Not this time. I left without slamming the door, without yelling. Just walked away, feeling something unrecognizable building in my chest. Not rage, not sorrow. Something sharper. Cold. Clear. That night, I told Eloise everything. From the audio, to the visit, to what came next. "Are you sure?" she asked quietly. I nodded. "I don't want to hide. I want her to see. I want her to know exactly what she lost, and what I found." So I planned a dinner. I made her favorite meal. I set the table the same way I used to every Friday night. Wine glasses. Candles. The old playlist she loved playing in the background. Every detail was perfect. Then I sent her a message. One sentence. "If you want closure, come by at 7. She responded in less than a minute. At 6:58, I heard her car in the driveway. At 7:01, she walked in, just like before. Confident. Curious. Maybe even a little smug. But this time I was ready. And when she stepped into the dining room and saw who was already seated, her expression cracked for real. No anger. No confusion. Just fear. Because across the table from her was someone she never expected to face again. And this time, we were the ones watching her fall apart. Marla froze mid-step, eyes locked on the person sitting calmly at my dinner table. Her mouth parted slightly, but no sound came out. Just that hollow gasp people make when their brain short circuits before their ego can catch up. Across from her sat Preston's wife. Yeah, the woman Marla never imagined would be here. The one she lied to, laughed at, and betrayed by proxy. Her name was Dana, and she held herself with a quiet power I never had the courage to access, until now. Marla looked at me, then at Dana, then at the empty chair between us, realizing it wasn't for her. You invited her? She asked, stunned. I didn't, I said calmly. She asked to come. When she found out what you two did, she wanted to look you in the eye. Dana leaned forward. You know what's funny, Marla? I thought I'd hate you, but I don't. You saved me, in a way. I was asleep in my life. You jolted me awake. Marla's expression cracked. I could say the same, I added. You broke me, Marla. But that break let the light in. You didn't just cheat. You freed me from a version of myself that was always walking on eggshells. She tried to recover. Clifford, you can't be serious. You're doing this for what? Closure? I shook my head. No, I'm doing this because I'm done hiding. You walked out on me like I was disposable, but I rebuilt, and now you get to see it. Marla didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply stood there, small in a room she no longer controlled. Then, without another word, she left. No goodbye. Just silence. The same silence she once gave me when I begged her to talk. After she was gone, Dana smiled gently. You okay? I nodded. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. Now I live in peace. I'm still figuring out who I am without her, but the version of me that tolerated less than I deserved? He's long gone. To anyone out there doubting their worth, sometimes walking away isn't giving up. It's moving forward. Thanks for watching. If you were Clifford for a day, what moment in this story would you handle differently? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget, you're on Reddit Confessions, where the truth finally speaks.